I'm starting to pick up on a specific type of female literary protagonist. You got Bella Swan, Anastasia Steele, Beatrice from Divergent, Katniss Everdeen, and now the Marsh Girl. Am I the only one that thinks it's weird that they all look exactly the same? Where the Crawdads Sing. So Where the Crawdads Sing is a film adaptation of the book of the same name written by Delia Owens. And this version is directed by Olivia Newman. And this is not the type of video I thought I'd be reviewing on this channel, but hey, I went to the movies with my fiance. She really wanted to see this movie. I thought it looked interesting at the very least. But when I sat down and the credits started rolling and I saw a new original song by Taylor Swift in the opening credits, I leaned over to her and I said, what did you get me into? Because this is not the murder mystery that I signed up for. This is 100% a romance, young adult novel, chick flick premise, and the movie makes no apologies for that. It knows exactly what kind of a movie it is and executes it for the most part really effectively. And even though this is Colby's Nerd Talks, I am not above appreciating a good chick flick. I actually like The Notebook, as much of a cliche as that movie has become. I think it's actually a pretty decent movie. And this movie, Where the Crawdads Sing, does have a few really good things going for it. For one, the cast, everybody does a good job. The whole main cast is believable, emotional, pulls it all off wonderfully. And even though I compared the Marsh Girl to Bella in the opening, she has a better backstory and is a much more interesting three-dimensional character than Bella could have ever wished for in all 5 of her Twilight movies. And I don't know how much of that was from the book or in the screenplay or just Daisy Edgar-Jones brought it to the character on set, but congratulations all around. You actually had a literary female protagonist that just didn't feel like a basic self-insert character for young women across America. She actually had a distinct personality and goals and heartbreaks and motivations and a way of doing things that went against the grain because she lives alone in a marsh and had to grow up practically on her own since she was 8 years old. That premise is just brimming with interesting character moments and interactions, and the movie really does take advantage of that. Seeing her interact with the townspeople, with this kindly black couple who are really the only people she could go to at a time when this couple was not seen as at the same level as everybody else in the neighborhood. But also her interactions with this attorney character played by David Strathdee, and he just keeps popping up in movies that I'll just watch, some of it new, some of it older, and every time I see him, I'm like, you are a really underrated actor. He gives such great performances, he has such natural charm and charisma, and you just want to see him win. And when this movie leans into that, it really works. There are a lot of effective scenes here where you really get an image of what the town thinks of her and what she thinks of the town. But this is primarily a romantic story because of course it is. So we have our little love triangle in here. Once the Marsh Girl starts living on her own for a little while, she comes across this boy Tate, played by Taylor John Smith, and they seem to hit it off pretty well. He teaches her how to read and write and just see a broader picture of the world and to use the intelligence that she had and manifest it and better relate to people and just kind of come out of her shell a bit. And they have a really cute, nice relationship until he goes off to college and doesn't come back, which then opens the door for bachelor number 2 to enter the picture, Chase, and he seems like a nice guy. They seem to have a pretty good relationship, but things just aren't quite right and aren't as good as they were with Tate earlier. So of course you got your whole Team Tate or Team Chase debate, and this is the part of the movie where I didn't feel like it worked quite as well as it should have, because the movie opens, and this isn't a spoiler because it's literally the first scene in the movie. Chase is dead. And a big part of the movie is an investigation as to who might have killed him, how did he die, and everything that we learn about the case and about all the players involved is through a sequence of flashbacks. So that's not a spoiler. Chase is dead at the start, which immediately makes you not care as much about the Marsh Girl and Chase, because Chase is dead, so you know that she's not going to end up with him. But they still spend a lot of time kind of building up this will they, won't they, how is their relationship going to work. But to the movie's credit, it does have that mystery of, well, did the Marsh Girl kill him or didn't she? And maybe we'll see through these flashbacks what actually happened. So I wouldn't want to cut the love story out of it completely because it's the ending of that love story, which is how we get to the opening of the movie, which is the murder. But if I'm being honest, all the scenes that they spend with Chase, and they do spend a lot of time on their relationship, it just made me want to skip ahead to the end of, okay, how did he die? Because we get it, they have a relationship, and that only takes a couple scenes to establish, and then get to the part where she might have killed him, or at least had motive to kill him. So if they did it that way, it just would have felt a little more tight, because otherwise it just feels like the movie's kind of wasting my time, telling me things I could have figured out through any other means. I didn't have to see the whole progression. And I guess the other problem I have with this love triangle is that it never really feels like a balanced love triangle. Now, love triangles have been done in a lot of movies. Pretty much every Broadway musical has to have at least one love triangle, sometimes two. So for me, love triangles are not inherently bad or cliche or played out. It's all about how you use them. And if you have a pretty balanced love triangle where you honestly could see it going one way or another, you put yourself in the character's shoes and you're like, okay, if I were in this situation, who would I go with? And it just adds another level of engagement. But the problem that I have is when love triangles are not balanced properly, where you clearly see one side is better than the other. It's a problem that the Hallmark Channel has in spades. They make it really obvious as to which guy you're supposed to root for and which guy you're not supposed to root for. And this movie kind of does it the same way, except the guy you're not supposed to root for is dead. But taking the fact that he's dead out of the equation, it still would have been more interesting if you actually saw Chase as a decent fit for Kaya, the Marsh Girl. If you actually saw Chase as a likable guy and you didn't see him as this sleazy scumbag frat boy right away, it would have added a bit more drama and weight to the scenes with him and Kaya when you know that he's dead. So how could she possibly theoretically kill the boy that she's so in love with, even though there's another boy? But you don't know. If she truly cared about both guys, well, then it's obvious that she's innocent. And now we come to the court case. A lot of this movie, when it's not in flashback, is about Kaya in jail, going to court, going through all these proceedings, and letting all the evidence come out as to whether or not she did or did not murder Chase. And those scenes in the courthouse are really good, really engaging, and when the verdict is heard, you are kind of on the edge of your seat. You're not really sure which way it's gonna go, which is just great courtroom drama. You know, it's My Cousin Vinny or To Kill a Mockingbird. It engages you. And I guess this is as good a time as any to talk about the directing of this movie. And it's pretty good, really effective. Very clean directing from Olivia Newman. Although I thought the use of voiceover throughout the movie was a little heavy-handed. I could have done without that for the most part. There are a couple moments of Kaya's voice reading aloud letters that are on the screen, so that's helpful because a lot of the time you just can't make out what's actually written in the letters. So the voiceover is helpful there, but it just goes on for a little too long and it covers some things that we could have easily figured out through context and just what we've heard previously in the movie and just see on display now. But there is one thing that I find with a lot of female directors, and it involves the romantic love-making scenes. And it seems to me that with female directors in particular, they like to focus on hands. I'm not really sure why that is, but always when they cut to close-up, it's either someone's face or their hands. No other options. And as much as I do laugh about it in the fact that it seems to be predominantly female directors that use this technique, I do really like it. I think it's an effective way to get across the passion and the romance in a PG-13 way. I think it's super creative, and even James Cameron used it in Terminator and again in Titanic. So who's to argue with him when it comes to good direction? But as I wrap up, there is one thing that just really bugs me about this movie, and for the most part the movie is fine. It's a chick flick. It's corny, yeah. Are there some things that are kind of wasted potential? Yeah. But is it generally well directed, well performed, well acted, well executed in general? Yeah. And did I have a good time with it? Yeah, surprisingly so. But there is this one thing that's a major spoiler, so I can't tell you what specifically it is, that I just don't like. And it happens right at the end of the movie. It might even be the last scene in the movie where something is revealed and it involves the court case, and it just paints everything in a completely different light. It paints the main characters, it paints the supporting characters. All the emotions that we felt over the course of this whole movie has all been recontextualized, and I don't think it works. And I think they included it because that is how the book ended, and they wanted to remain faithful. At least that's my guess. I haven't read the book. I don't know. But just the way it feels, I think it was the author's original intent. And I think it was probably executed a bit better in the book, because that's usually how it goes. But seeing that last scene just put such a bad taste in my mouth. I don't even think I can say I like the movie anymore. And if I say anything else, I'm definitely going to spoil it, so I'll just leave that there. And now I turn it over to you guys. What did you think about Where the Crawdads Sing? Did you like it? Did you think the ending was fine, or did you find it as character damaging or subversive as I did? Because I did not like that ending. But whatever you think, let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more content, and hit the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a video. And as always, I'm Colby. This is my Nerdy Talk, and I'll see you in the next video.